officially, let's welcome everybody. Happy New Year. It is 2021, so a new year, a new season, fresh beginnings. Hopefully brings a lot of change in a positive way this year. It'd be nice to talk about something other than current events for an hour here. So we're going to talk about your vacation rentals. So thank you all for joining back. We met many of you from the last sessions that we had starting in May through the summer, and then we had our owner series in the fall. We thought we would kick these meetings back off on at least a monthly basis, but I believe what we're going to do, especially in the next couple of weeks, is that I'm sure there's going to be a lot of topics to cover. We may schedule a follow-up immediately next week. So let's see how this meeting goes. If there's questions that we can't get to today, we will get back to them, and we'll likely be looking to schedule a meeting next week or two. We'll confirm at the end. What I'm going to do to kick this off is give a short presentation. Joan and I will talk for a few minutes, and then we'll open it up for Q&A, similar to how we've done it in the past. And what I would do, just because of the short time that we do have, what I would like to ask when we get to the Q&A is that if you have questions, is just try to keep keep the conversations to a minimum so that we can try to get through as many questions as possible today. I know you're going to have a lot of detailed questions about the next summer, and we'll try our best to answer them as to the best of our ability. So let me first start by going to the presentation. I've got to figure out here how to share my screen. Here we go. All right. Everybody can see that, I hope. Joan, you can? I'll ask you. Joan, you're on mute. Joan, you can see the presentation?
Yep, looks fine.
Thank you very much. All right. So let's kick off this meeting. And as we were talking in the beginning, we're going to go through a few topics here. The initial outset of this year of 2021 season, go through the vacationer demand that many of you are already seeing. We're going to talk about the topic of response times. That has been a big topic of ours, and we're rolling out a new tracking system for that, and we'll explain it in detail if there's any questions there. And then go through kind of a broad category of kind of our expectations, setting expectations, managing your guest expectations. I'm sure many of you already have a lot of questions from your guests about what's going to happen next summer. And we don't know all those answers, but again, as homeowners, it's our job to manage our guests and try to answer their questions as best as possible and hopefully secure that booking. So to kick it off, 2021 has continued from what we saw from the summer. From the end of the summer, we saw it through the fall. We saw high demand through the fall. And then even though the fall was still high volume, like clockwork, right after the holidays, we always see an uptick. We usually see 3 times the number of inquiries right after the holidays as we do in the early parts of December. And this year was no different, but it really is staggering to see these numbers. The 73% increase in the number of unique vacationers. This isn't inquiries, but these are individuals increasing 73% over the past month. And typically, I look back, we haven't seen a plus or minus in January as high as 20%. That's kind of what we've seen in the past. So 73 is just beyond what we've ever seen before on the site. And this isn't just returning vacationers. This isn't people that have been coming to the Cape all along. We were still seeing a high number of people, new vacationers that have never used our site. So people are still coming, maybe for the first time, or at least they're using our site for the first time, which is either way is a good indication of the demand. And then lastly, the demand on the site. We're seeing the number of users is not as slightly lower percentage, but it's an indication, I believe, that what you're getting is users are coming to the site. I think they're more committed to sending that inquiry and making a booking. I don't think you're going to see as many tire kickers, those that are just browsing. They maybe just put a feeler out there. I think the vacationers realize that there are 2 things going on here. One, there is such a high demand. Maybe they lost out on a rental last summer or looked too late, that they're eager to book. They're either eager to book earlier. And they realize that they need to, their plans are pretty firm. They don't have many options for next summer. If they want to book now, they're not really deciding, because of the unknowns of the pandemic, they're not really booking travel to a long distance to Florida or something. They're going to be more committed to staying local, where they can commit themselves to just jumping in the car, going to the beach. And so that's adding to the ability for vacationers to feel confident that they can book their vacation early. So that's partly why we see the increase. These numbers are not likely to continue through the spring, but again, I would, or at least they won't continue at this record level. But I do think they will continue to be strong throughout the rest of the winter into the spring. We've been doing this for a while, so another indication, I have a chart to show you. We've been tracking our guests since 2007, and so what you'll see is that this is, again, a staggering chart to show, again, the plus or minus was about 20% change, and then all of a sudden it really is off the charts in January. So a strong indication of our demand so far. I'm going to then move on to our response time topic, and hopefully you've seen some of the communications that we sent out in the past couple weeks. And what we are going to be rolling out shortly is the ability for you to see what your response time is on inquiries, and why are we rolling this out is kind of what I want to talk about today. And I've put up this quote here. We sent a survey out to vacationers after the summer ended. We got back maybe 1,500 responses. Overwhelmingly, there were a lot of positive remarks, but the negative remarks that came in were typically about calendars and response times, and about not hearing from folks. And this has been going on for years. Occasionally we get comments from vacationers, I haven't heard back from the homeowner, can you help? How do I get in touch with them? And because the demand has been so high since the summer, that has only been amplified a bit more, that there are more inquiries being sent, and sometimes people are not getting the responses back. And so right now, I mean, there is a win-win to be had here, but right now there's a little bit, we're both losing. Both We Need a Vacation and homeowners are losing in some respects. And that's due to the fact that if a vacationer doesn't hear back, they of course aren't going to book the home they inquired on, but they may not inquire on the next home or the next home after that. They may not have a good user experience on the We Need a Vacation site, that they just simply decide to leave the site. So We Need a Vacation wants to keep them on the site, and you of course want to keep them on the site and keep looking at your home or the next home. And so it's a huge part of our experience, user experience, and we're getting inundated right now with if a vacationer doesn't hear back, they're contacting us, and we're doing some follow-up on that to ensure that vacationers are getting the responses. Now, this isn't to mean, we've gotten some complaints back, this isn't to mean that you have to sit on your computer, sit on your phone, and be responding within minutes. There are certainly a lot of people that are on top of it and responding as soon as they get that inquiry, they're responding under a half an hour or an hour. But really what we're looking at is looking to respond within 24 hours is the goal. That's for the most part, the majority of owners are averaging, we've been tracking this internally since December 19th, and 77% are responding on average under a day, which is great. And I know there are reasons why people have delayed response. They didn't have commitment from their prior guests, so they didn't know what to say, or they hadn't decided due to COVID if they wanted to rent. But the bottom line is your calendar's open. If your calendar's open and the week's available, if you get an inquiry, that vacationer is due a response. Otherwise, like I said, they may leave the site, and we're going to hear from it. So our goal is to try to present this information, build the trust of vacationers, and present what the owner's response rate and response time is. We're going to first roll this out likely next week to display internally, meaning internally to you only as homeowners. You'll be able to see what it is. And then shortly after that, we'll come up with a date to display this on the property listing as well, so that vacationers can have set expectations to see what the response time is. And it's not going to be exact, it's going to be grouping, that this listing is responsive under a few hours, this one's under a day, and this one's over a day. That's ultimately what the categories that we're looking for, so that vacation gets the expectations of, we can set those expectations appropriately. I'll show one more chart here, over the time. And again, to show you why we're focusing on this, is that about 17% of our owners are over a day in response. And I have another list of 6% that have not even responded at all to one or more inquiries in the past month. That may be as an owner, maybe calling that vacationer or maybe using the direct email, but on the surface, it's not zero. There's enough volume here to be concerned about, and that's why we're looking to get into tracking this. We're going to provide some capability. We're going to look to provide a reminder. Perhaps you missed the email. So if an email is received, an inquiry is received, but you happen to just miss it, we'll send out an email 24 hours later to help you recognize that you've received that inquiry in. So with that, I think, how's this going to work? And some of you may have already seen, some of you may not have recognized that there was a change to the emails that come in. But what you will see when an email comes in, an inquiry comes in from a vacationer, is the emails now come from, not from the vacationer's email address, but they come from a WeNeedaVacation domain. It's going to be a domain of message.WeNeedaVacation.com. And what that allows us to do is receive the emails in an automated system, log the email into your inquiry history, and then send that email back on to the vacationer. And likewise, when the vacationer responds, they too will send it through our system to a message email inbox, and it gets forwarded back on to your one or both email addresses that you have on your account. So in essence, there really shouldn't be, for most people, a need to make a change. If you receive an inquiry, if you received an inquiry last summer, all you have to do is reply to it. That's no different today. You just reply to the email, and it's going to get back to the vacationer. If you receive a text message and respond that way, you can click on the link in the text message, open up the inquiry, the web form that we have, and you can respond that way, compose your message, and submit the web form, and your message will get back to the vacationer. So on the surface here, there isn't anything that you have to change in your process in order to get back to that vacationer. There are things that you can do to help with this process. We recommend, if you don't have already, to have some templates ready for response. If you're one of those people that have the, if you're waiting for responses from guests, your repeat guests, there's an easy template for that, just so that if they respond, rather than let it sit there for a few days before you get back to them, you have a template ready to go. Or if you don't accept pets, but somebody keeps inquiring about your pets, there's an easy response to just say, just have something, have a no thanks type response, so that you can at least acknowledge it right away, and they can carry on with their search looking for something else. And again, rather than them waiting, hoping that they get that home. So if you don't have text messaging, it's another way to get alerted quickly. And then the whitelisting of a domain. For those that have ever found that an inquiry message may have appeared in junk or spam, email sometimes does fall into those categories that we have little control over. There is a way to what's called whitelist the WeNeedaVacation domain. If you use Gmail, you can set up a filter. We have information on that. I won't go into the details now, but we have information on that on the blog, which we'll send around in our follow-up notes. And then lastly, it's just the calendar up to date. If you're, many of the inquiries that are not responded to are because it's already booked. And so why do I have to respond to a inquiry where they're asking for dates that's already booked? Or I've heard this complaint that vacationers are inquiring even though my calendar is already booked. I mean, either way, keep your calendars up to date so that you minimize the inquiries that come on book dates. And even if you do get that inquiry on a week that is booked, there are many vacationers that like to send an inquiry and say, just in case you may have a cancellation. And so they do deserve a response as well. So I know we do not mean for this to be something that is to build anxiety over, while this looks, a little controlling on our part, our essence here is to build a site of trusted homeowners and a trusted website for WeNeedaVacation, so that we keep our vacationers on our site. That's our ultimate goal here. So with that, what I'm going to do is, rather than, I know you're going to have questions on that, and so I'm happy to answer those, but we have one more slide on this. and on COVID expectations. I'm going to let Joan cover that, and then we will open it up, and we'll open up for questions on both these topics, or any topic really after that. So Joan, you want to take this last one?
Sure. Well, there are so many questions that vacationers have. I'm sure you've been fielding some of their questions about mostly cancellation and what happens with the virus. We have no crystal ball. We don't know what is going to happen with the virus, but our expectation is it's not going to be worse or as bad as last year. Last year, there were just so many. Well, first there was the restriction, total restriction until June 8th, which caused a great deal of confusion and many cancellations. But we do feel that to some degree, COVID will still be with us, and vacationers are still going to be anxious. And that's why they're asking questions about cancellation. I think they want to come, but they also want the security that if they have to cancel for some reason, they won't be without any,
Come over here.
they won't be without any, will lose their money if they have to cancel. So as far as cancellations are concerned, it runs the gamut. Some homeowners, very few, but have a no cancellation policy. Others are much more lenient and more flexible, and they might say, well, you can cancel, I'll give your money back if you cancel within 90 days or 60 days. I mean, and there's so many variables here, and you may not treat everyone the same. Some people might come from out of state, and they might be concerned about some restrictions in terms of COVID and coming into the state or leaving their state. I think that's unlikely. So if you have in your lease, or you tell them that you will, if there are any kind of restrictions like that you will refund their money, they would probably feel much more comfortable booking your home now. And if they do have to cancel, this year is anything, the summer is anything like last summer, you could probably rebook it easily. So there, you just have to communicate with them and give them the, some reassurance. The other thing that really comes into play here is travel insurance. We've found that the internet searches for travel insurance has increased markedly. And we sent you something last weekend in our newsletter about travel insurance. There is a company, it's called travelinsurance.com, that is an aggregate site wherein the vacationer can input the parameters of their visit in terms of the dates of their stay, how much it's going to cost, and the number of people in their party, etc. And this site will give them the policies and the price for a variety of different companies. So they would do the investigation, they would do the research and choose the company and the policy that fits them the best. So if you have a very reluctant or very anxious vacationer who, no matter what you say, they are anxious, you could suggest this travelinsurance.com. And we have that on our site, and you can, just give them that URL and have them look into that. some people are getting questions about, or asking us questions, some homeowners about, should I require them to get a test before they arrive, or proof of a vaccine? And again, that just seems, I just don't think that'll be necessary. It didn't, as far as the test, most people didn't require it last year, so I doubt that you would want to require it this year. We had very few incidents last summer, as far as we knew. I mean, there may have been many, but we only heard of one case of someone testing positive while they were in one of the rentals, and they immediately left, and the home was sanitized, and there were several days in between the renters, so it worked out okay. But I doubt that you would have to go to that extent to be requiring any kind of a test or proof of vaccine. I didn't mention cleaning requirements, but right now they're still the same. They haven't changed. And I think whatever you did last summer in terms of preparation and supplies, and you would probably continue this summer. You might relax it a little bit. I think homeowners were very concerned about touching surfaces, and they took a lot of things away that they normally would have. You may not want to do that to that extent. It just doesn't appear that the virus is spread from touching, surfaces the way we feared that it was. But again, you're going to want to reassure your guests that your home will be clean and sanitized. And even when the virus goes away, vacationers are going to have a heightened awareness. We're all much more concerned. When we throw our masks away, we'll still be concerned about viruses and just germs in general. And so I think, some of those cleaning protocols are here to stay. So, and lastly, just be prepared for having to make adjustments along the way. It's renting your home is not for the faint of heart, and you all know that. And communication with your guests is paramount. So, Jim?
Okay. A good run through. I think what we're going to do is open it up for the last half hour here to questions. For those that did not join us before, this is how we have done it. If most of you are probably on your desktops tonight. So you should see down at the bottom of your screen a list of participants, which you can click on, and then you'll see a raise hand option in those participants to raise your hand. Same thing on mobile phone if you have it. But what we're going to do is, just to try to keep this orderly, is we let people raise their hands, and then we'll call on you to ask the question or give your comment or feedback here. So I'm going to end this presentation to get back to so I can see all the participants. Oh, I'm still sharing. Okay, there we go. So we will answer the question. So find how to raise your hand, because I can't see everybody's face in the grid. So if you're waving hysterically, I can't always see you. So we'll start off here first with Tracy. I think you have to unmute on your end, and there you go.
Hi.
Hi, Tracy.
How are you?
Good. How are you doing?
I'm good, thanks. So I'm in California, so it's not so late here. It also sort of complicates, some of the transactions for me in terms of time and stuff like that. And I will add maybe other people who, if you have very many people who are listing with you who are at a distance. So there's a 3-hour time change for me. And so it depends on what time the inquiry comes, how quickly I can respond. But my question about your new system, is, will there be a way for me to copy my personal email as like a BCC or a CC when I respond to an inquiry from your website? What I have been doing is responding to someone's personal email and then sending a second note to them from your website that says, this is because they like to keep track of whether I've responded and how quickly. But I
Sure.
prefer to be able to communicate through regular email rather than from your website. So I have records in my system of what I've done.
Sure. So to answer that question, and I see what you're trying to do, you can, if you get the inquiry and just simply press reply, it'll be an email coming from your email system, and you can copy or BCC yourself, so you get a record of it. And that reply will go back to the vacationer. We are not striking the email address in itself. Like if you want to go in to your inquiry history, all the vacationer's details are in there, and you'll find the email address. And so we don't want to hide that information. So if you wanted to reply directly, you could, and it does require you to log in to get access to that email. But what we've set up on the inquiry history page itself is if you email back directly, or if you phone call back the vacationer, some people like to do that if a phone number is provided. We have a link in the inquiry history that allows you to say, I already responded to this. And so you can manually click, I already responded. And that just acknowledges that you responded by some other means. And I think we would, as a business and We Need Vacation website, we'd be in pretty good shape if everybody did that, acknowledged and responded and acknowledged in one way. We're giving multiple ways to respond. And so we'll be happy if everybody responded to everyone in some way or another.
Okay, good. So I can pretty much do the same thing and just make sure that I use your button to notify you that I've done that.
You can do it in that way. Yes. Yes.
Okay, good. Thanks.
You're welcome. Let me grab, and I wanted just to reiterate about this system in that we are not looking to do this to hide any information. Our goal was not to bring all the communications in-house, meaning that you had to, or in a closed system, as some of the other sites do. Some of the other sites have a closed system, meaning all communications must and can only go through that system, and you would only get access to the contact information once a booking has been confirmed. We're not looking to do that. So we're not gonna, if a vacationer sends their email address in the text of their message, you'll get it. Or a phone number, you're gonna get it directly. You're gonna get that information that they provide. We're not looking to strip out any information or hide information. We wanna make sure that you're still in control. Let me go to next on the list here, Curtis.
Oops, unmute.
Yeah, hold on, Curtis. You gotta click unmute on your end. There you go. You're no, you're not yet. Yep. You're unmuted, but I cannot hear you. I'm sorry. Sorry, Curtis. I can't hear you. You are unmuted, but your microphone might be muted.
Maybe you'll have to come back to him.
All right. Curtis, I'm gonna have to come back to you. I'll keep you on the list, but I check for your microphone settings, and there's a way to unmute yourself on your end. Kenneth Rubin, I'm gonna go to you next.
Yeah, thanks, Jeff and Joan. Again, it's great that you're holding these sessions. They're really fabulous, very, very helpful. So thank you for restarting them. So my question is, I was called the other day by one of your competing sites. I can't remember the name of it. I didn't really listen. And I was curious how he might have gotten my phone number. The question was, are you still renting out your beautiful house in Orleans? Any ideas? Have you gotten this from other people? Have other people been hacked? Is it possible it's coming out somehow through your site?
Well, Ken, you have a phone number on your listing for vacationers to call. Is that right?
I haven't even looked at that, but if I do, then that's the solution.
Yeah,
That's
the,
what's going on.
I know the website. I have called them several times, asked them to cease and desist, but we can prevent them from emailing you, from using our email, program, but we can't prevent them from calling a phone number on our listings. But we have asked them to stop. They apparently have not. So we're going to have to put some more pressure on them, but it's just difficult. The first time I called them, they said, "Are you afraid of a little competition?" So, but we will continue. I mean, if you are not interested, it is a website. I mean, they are in business, and they are hoping to boot up, but they've got a long ways to go. And I just tell them no. I saw today that there was someone who said that there is a way to prevent them from calling again, but I'm gonna have to.
Well,
look
if
into
you, as they recommended, if it's an unknown number, you can redirect unknown numbers on your phone to automatically to voicemail or something like that. But if there are other ways around it, if it becomes bothersome, if they are hounding, and this goes for just your number is public, it's on our website. We don't hide that number because we want to make it available for those that want to call. The vacation wants to contact you, but there are ways if you so are inclined to set up an alternative number. You can say get a free Google phone number, and have that forward to your cell phone, so that you know that anytime someone that calls your Google phone number and it goes to your phone, you'll know it's coming from the website. And so you can make the judgment call on whether to answer it or send it directly to voicemail. So there are ways around it if it becomes problematic, but hopefully they are not going to be hounding everybody.
That was
On
only
a
one
cell
call.
phone, can't you report it as spam too? I
know.
thought on my cell phone it says report as spam, but
Maybe.
You can
Right.
block.
Yeah,
Or
that's all
block
you can do
them,
is block the number if it becomes problematic. If they end up not adhering, if you say no and they keep calling, then yeah, you can try one of those options: blocking, send a spam. So, thanks, Ken. Let me just got a long list here, so I'm going to keep moving. Doug, you're up next.
Okay, I am off mute, I think.
Yes.
I am.
Yep, we hear you.
Okay, I prepare in advance. I like to talk, but it'll be short. So, concerning the responses to emails, I'm sorry, the email response, I think it's a great new thing you're doing. I've already tried to follow that. One of the things that's always come up for me is if there's a phone number and I catch it within the same day, I usually call the phone number first. And if I get somebody and we have a conversation, which is the main point, so I know who's going to stay there, then I will, sometimes I'll forget and I go, oh, I have to send you an email. I have to go back. So I send them an email and I say, we had a conversation, we booked the date, please forgive, but I have to do this so that my website knows that I am responding properly. Okay, so I do that. Now, the other thing with cancellation policy, maybe it's just me, I don't know, because I've been in business in many different businesses for many years. And if someone calls me 2 weeks before they're going to stay, and they have got a good excuse because of what's going on in their life, I will refund them. I don't ask any questions. I refund, and I send out to everybody that I've got forever that stayed at the house that this week is now available, and I've always filled it. So I'm very lucky in that respect. And the last part, which is I'm hoping that everybody, as you said, both of you, about the test and the vaccine not becoming an issue. I'm hoping it doesn't, because that's going to be a real challenge to everybody tested or vaccine to be able to stay on the Cape. Yeah, I think. Yeah, Jim, you're shaking your head. I'm hoping that's the truth.
Oh, we were talking about this before amongst our team, and just it's not going to be any quote unquote worse than last summer. Last summer didn't require a proof of COVID test for most of the summer. I just can't see that happening. I think you're going to, I think there's going to be the quarantine. There could be a quarantine rule from some states, but no different from last summer. But I don't think we're going to take a step backwards, and it's going to be more difficult for vacationers to travel. I mean, both vacationers want to come. The state needs the tourism. Like, everybody's going to be doing everything possible to ensure that people can get back to their vacations for everyone's sake that's involved. So yeah, I'm not fearful of that.
Thank you. I have one more question. You know, a while back, because I haven't paid my 2020 short-term rental taxes yet. And
You
I
have
thought
until May 20th.
May 20th.
Mhm.
Can I pay it anytime I want just to get it over with?
Of course.
You know-
Most people have already paid it. It's, you know, it's not your money, and they've just paid it.
Yeah, because I
But
hate having that stuff over my head.
you have until May 20th to pay your 2020 taxes. This was an exception by the state because of COVID,
Okay,
without any penalties.
beautiful. Thank
yeah.
you. Thank you. Very important, because it's like $6,500. I don't want to sit on it right now.
Yeah.
Just do it, pay it, and that's it. Right.
Right.
Great.
Great.
Thank you.
Yep.
Thank
Thanks,
you.
Doug.
Okay.
Thanks, Doug.
Jim, can I just, I'm sensing some hesitancy on some people's parts about the inquiry system. And I just want people to know that it's not a trivial thing, the non-response. We have gotten so many calls and emails from frustrated vacationers. And then when we have looked to see if they have, you know, responses or inquiries they haven't replied to, we're sometimes shocked to see 20, 25, 30 inquiries that they've received since December 19th that have gone unanswered. And it's bad for all of us, because it reflects poorly on us, on our website. And vacationers are saying, I can't trust your site, I can't trust your calendar. So it really is, if everybody replied as well as you all do, and we reply within a day, we wouldn't have to do this. It wouldn't be as urgent, but we really fear that it's jeopardizing the quality of our site and the number of vacationers who are leaving us because, you know, they'll go to a site where they can trust the calendars, and the homeowners have to reply.
An important point here. I think it should be said that Airbnb and VRBO have been doing this for years. So that's what the industry expects.
Right. So our goal is to try to make it as easy as possible for homeowners, and so not to make it more cumbersome. If we make the process more cumbersome, then homeowners still will not. Those that are dragging their feet and not responding in time are still not going to do it. So, Joan, you mentioned today that somebody said they didn't respond because they were going away. They were away on vacation for a week, and so we're kind of just saying this is a peak time. People are in demand. People are looking and anxious to book their home before somebody else books their prime week. And so, you know, to say that you're just not going to respond within those, 24 hours on average, again, I know there are some circumstances that may be valid, but on average, we're looking to get below 24 hours. One response back on Doug's, a couple of people have had this approach, but Doug, what you were doing in terms of having to go back to your email to say, I need to do this because my website requires it to, great. There are a way you could, come up with, again, a template that just says, nice talking with you. Look forward to hearing back from you once you've made your decision, or let me know if you have any more questions. You can come up with a template like that where it doesn't look so forced that you're doing it only to get them to see that you have to do it on the record. So you could do it that way. And then the other option, Doug, and for anybody else, is, as I mentioned earlier, that you can log into your system and click already responded. So there is a button there on your inquiry history that if you did end up giving them a phone call, log into your system, And it could be later that day, just log into your system, click already responded, and that's all you need to do. So we're not preventing you from responding quickly by phone if that's your personal choice. All right, I'm gonna move on to a lot of hands here. Yvonne, and then Michael, I see you, Fernando and Lou after that. So Yvonne.
Hi all. So I just want to go back to the same inquiry topic. So Elizabeth put in the chat that when you click reply, you don't have to log in. And I don't know if I'm doing it wrong, but when I click reply to Vacationer, it takes me back to my login screen.
Sure. So are you clicking the button reply to Vacationer on your email?
Yes.
Okay, so there's two options. One is you get the physical email in your inbox. You can press reply like a normal email and just reply directly. You don't have to click on that reply to Vacationer button. That's a second option, a second way to respond. So
okay, so that's the way it used to work for me. And then one time I hit reply.
Yeah.
And then I got a like an automatic message that said the Vacationer has not received your reply, that it came from WeNev.
Sure. And my guess is that was probably an issue just with the Vacationer's email address in itself. When you receive an inquiry email, you can just click reply like a normal email and send it back to the Vacationer. If there was a typo in the email address, basically you got a bounce back and it's an indication that maybe they had a typo in their email address. Okay. And that's something that we're trying to address, validate email addresses before they get submitted, but sometimes it's just a typo that we can't validate. And so that's
okay. Yeah. Now, another quick question. So when people are talking about phone numbers and calling people back, is that because the Vacationer put the phone number in their text, or is there some way to find it?
Sure. If a phone number is not required, but some Vacationers do put the phone number either in the body of their inquiry message to you, but there is a form field. So they enter in their first, last name and an optional phone number. And so if they do enter the phone number, you will see it in the inquiry message. You don't have to log in to get it. You will see it in your email message.
Okay. All right. Okay. I'll look for that.
Mm-hmm. Okay. So you're welcome. For everybody, what Yvonne was asking about, in the inquiry email that you get, there's a blue button that says reply to Vacationer. And if you want to use our web system, you can click on that. It opens up a web form where you just compose the response. It's the same thing for those that have a text message. If you receive a text message, you don't respond via text. You click on the link in the text message, and that too will bring open that same web form where you log in and then you press reply. So those are really the three methods that you can respond to a Vacationer in. All right, I'm gonna move to Michael. You're up next.
Hi, folks. So I'm Mike. Good evening, everybody. My wife is the face of the operation here, and so she's gonna pose a question.
All right.
Actually, a couple. I'm gonna reply with what Yvonne was just saying as well. I too have had a problem with the response. After I'd respond to the inquiry, I'd have to go back into the website and actually check on the box that says, have you responded? Because I already responded, but it didn't click on the box. And I don't know why that's happening. I had a couple of inquiries that they asked me twice, like they sent it and then they sent it again. And I can understand that because I responded to the first one in the order, but in other cases, it still didn't reflect that. And I had to go out and come back in and then check it and then look to see if it had recorded in there.
Sure. So I'm not positive. I can take a look at your listing to see exactly what it is. And if you get another one and the same thing happens, feel free to send us an email and I'll look at it right away. But what I'm guessing may happen, sometimes people do receive a duplicate inquiry. Sometimes you might even see the same message, which we will try to not have a second email with the exact same message come in. Other times, Vacationers might send a message and say, oh, wait, I forgot, and they send yet another message. So obviously, we don't want those to count against you. But perhaps what's happening is that you did respond to one, and if there was a second message from the exact same Vacationer, right now the system is only checking it off once. And so that second inquiry that you get from the exact same Vacationer is sitting there saying unresponded to. So before we make this public, we're going to address that. You don't have to respond. If you get 2 inquiries from the same vacationer,
Yep.
you don't need to respond to both of them. And honestly, what you could do at some point is, and also you can just click already responded. So it will not count if you see 2 inquiries from the same vacationer. Only one's going to count. Respond to one of them, and you're all set.
Right.
And you'll see in an update that we're going to roll out next week, it'll clearly identify when there is a duplicate. It'll just have a gray symbol next to it, just says not applicable to the ranking or to the rating.
And my second question had to do with the field for the phone numbers. In the past, it was great. I don't know, I guess everybody in the past always put their phone number in, but this time it hasn't happened as much. So I think it would be better if it's a required field, because it'd be easier for the homeowner to get in touch with the renter.
We've had a large debate about that in the office. At one point, phone number was required on our system, and we relaxed the criteria. And the reason being there is that some vacationers truly do just want to be communicated by email initially. They're just simply trying to ask a question to elaborate on something on your listing, and they may not want to provide their phone number. And so it can be a deterrent sometimes for somebody to add their phone number. What we see is that those that don't mind, or if they're especially anxious, they say, send me an email back to this email or give me a call at this number. And obviously that if they provide their phone number, they're welcoming a phone call from you or an email. So I think it's more of a preference, and I fear that making it required could reduce the number of inquiries that you get. That's kind of just our debate that we've had over the years. Hopefully more will provide them just for your use.
Also, the use of cell phones has increased markedly over the years. In the beginning, not many people had a cell phone. They just put their home phone in. But when the cell phone usage increased, there are a lot of people who are very, covetous of their privacy with their cell phone and just don't want to give it out. So we found that some people were just not sending an inquiry at all if they were required to send it to give us a phone number.
So, all right, I'll look into your listing as well, just to double check on your inquiries, make sure that box is being checked.
Okay, thank you very much.
You're welcome. All right, moving on. Fernando, you're up next.
Hi, can you hear me okay?
Yes, you can.
I'm a newbie, so pardon me if my questions could be answered by better using the site, but a couple things. One, what kind of expectations should we have that people are booking for the summer this early? Two, is there a location on the site where there's a sample lease? I looked for it and I couldn't find it.
Okay. As far as booking and booking rates right now, if you have, I don't know how large a home you have, but the larger homes are obviously the ones that are being booked now and going fast. Sometimes people have a 1-2 bedroom cottage, and those tend to book closer to the season. So it all depends, but as Jim said, the bookings are really up. And we will send you a lease, Fernando. We don't have it. It's not published on our site, but we will send you one.
Great, thank you. Thank you for holding these sessions, by the way.
You're welcome.
You're welcome.
And we love newbies.
We will provide the lease in the summary. We'll send a summary email with the video and any links that we've talked about or Beta has put into the chat. We'll put those in your references, so you'll see those in the follow-up email.
And one last question.
Sure.
What kind of inquiry might you get from potential renters? Is it available, or is there a kind of a cascading approach that people who are potential renters will start the process of reaching out to you that may result in a rental? We haven't done this before.
So you haven't received, you're that new that you haven't received an inquiry yet.
Correct.
Yeah, it's all over the map. I mean, some people will just simply say, is it available, for, X date? Others will go into a long history about, I've been to the Cape before and this is what I'm looking for and your home looks perfect. It really depends. And, you will respond accordingly and answer all their questions, maybe give them more information that might not be, on your site, or they will ask questions about, things that are really on their mind about what they are looking for. So you just take it as it comes, but you'll get a wide variety, I can assure you.
Okay, good. Thank you, John.
Sometimes for better or worse, off the wall inquiries and then very detailed ones. So, all right, move on. Lou, you're up next here.
Hi, can you hear me?
Yes, I can.
Okay, so first of all, let me say that I love We Need a Vacation. We've been members for many, many years and have great experiences. But I have to say that I'm not happy at all with the recent changes that you've made. It used to be that when we got an email from the inquiry, we could see the renter's information, their phone number, their email, everything we needed. Now, in order to see their actual email, we have to log on to see that. And I completely understand the reason that you're trying to implement this response rate metric to weed out those people that aren't responding quickly. But I don't think that your remedy is going to solve the issue at all. Those people who don't care, who sit on their inquiries for days or weeks at a time, aren't going to give a damn about what their metric is. They really won't. But the rest of us who do will now have to take extra steps to make sure that our metric is better than the next guy. Because I won't rent to somebody unless I talk to them. I just won't. So I get the email, I call them, and I talk to them. I can get a feel for whether they're college kids and I don't want to rent to college kids, or they're a family with 3 kids and whatever. And I can feel them out and make a decision. So now after I talk to them, I got to go log on and click already responded. Anybody who really doesn't care is either not going to do that, or they're going to scam the system and they're going to log on and say already responded, already responded, already responded, even though they haven't. I find that this makes me feel like I have to be glued to my email so that I can respond quickly, so that I can have a better metric than the next guy. I just don't like it.
Okay. I understand the concern, Lou. You hit on a couple things. We actually discussed today to talk about the email for a second. We talked about the merits of having the email. We did hide the email address from the body of the inquiry that you get. And the decision that we made and what we were discussing is going back on what our decision was and going through why did we make that decision. And obviously we had to, with this implementation, remove it to ensure that we were able to implement it in a system in a way that we wanted to. However, that being said, what we were discussing today is what harm will it have to put that email address into the body of the email? The harm is if somebody copies it and decides just to go direct reply, right? And
what's wrong with that? What's wrong with the direct reply? Because now I have some of my emails that I direct reply, so that's on my local computer, and I can see who I replied to. But those that were replied through your system, it just says vacationer 8F3681, and I have no idea who that is. I don't want to have to log on to your system to see some of my emails and use my local system to see the others. I shouldn't have to do it. If I choose to, that's one thing, but I shouldn't have to.
Well, I think that's why we're trying to make this as flexible as possible so that it's not forcing you to necessarily to do that. It's not going to be perfect for everybody here. And so, you know, we're trying to see what the feedback is to make the appropriate adjustments. As we mentioned earlier, you know, we had 23% of the people are responding over 24 hours. So we're looking to find a way to get those people back
my
down.
Question is, what are you going to do with this metric? So you find that 23% of the people have a response time of 7 days. What do you do with that information?
So an important point that was part of our message when we set this out, and we'll send another message on that, is that, yeah, I mean, it has to have teeth. It has to have teeth to have of any value. If it's only presented to you, the homeowner, what good is that? We want to use that metric, one, on the property listing so that it sets expectations when you're looking at a listing. And if someone's inquiring on a home and it says this person responds in 2+ days, they now know they're not sitting there waiting for a response right away. And maybe it gives them hesitation to even inquire in the first place. The second piece that we're moving towards is that we want to reward those listings that are overall in better shape and not just response rate, but just there are other metrics on a listing that matter to us and to you. Is your calendar up to date? Is your listing filled out completely? And so what we're looking to do, and it's already in your listing quality audit, is we give you a guidance on what we think is complete on your listing. It's represented right now in a smiley face or a frown or whatnot. And so we're looking to implement this for, by May or June, a ranking in the sort order, so that
my question is not around that. It's this policy doesn't weed out the people who don't care. The people who don't care are going to have a horrible rating, and they won't care. They paid their money to your site, and they feel that they can do whatever they want to do. That's their privilege. And I understand it gives us all a black eye. I understand that. But those of us who do care now have to take extra steps that we didn't have to make sure our metric is better than the next guy. And the ones who don't care aren't going to care.
Well, we're not looking to implement this in a way that it becomes a battle between the next competitor. Like we're responding.
But it is because my rating is important to me, and I want it to be better than the next one.
So when you get an inquiry, how quickly do you respond?
Typically, before all this started, within hours.
So so there's no change in that in your process.
But there is a change. I used to get an email and I'd call them up. Now I get an email, I have to call them up, which I'm going to do anyway, and I have to log on. And if all I have at the time is my phone, it's a pain in the butt. And I have to click on something that says I did this so the clock stops. I don't want to have to do that.
But is it true that then your ranking will get better and your house will be shown more prominently? I think that's what he's getting at, is what's in it for you. If you're a good responder, you're going to get a more prominent placement.
Yeah, that's where I was going with the overall ranking. It's not just on the response rate, but our overall, if you look at your listing quality audit and you have a good audit, a good rating on what we've described, then that's what we want to base who gets shown at the top in your sort order on a search.
So it is, so you are pitting owner against owner, right? Because now this is another metric that will make me have to do this in order to get moved to the top. You are punishing me for those people who are not responding quickly. You're making it more difficult for me. And when I am a good responder, I respond within either minutes or hours. And now I have to go through these extra steps so that my listing can move closer to the top. When the ones that you are trying to weed out won't give a darn.
They won't give a darn if their listings aren't coming up and they're not getting any inquiries.
But why would they, if they're so slow in responding today?
Because
if somebody asks an inquiry and they don't get a response in a few hours or 24 hours, they're going to go somewhere else.
I will
They
just
are
say that
gonna
I
do that. They're
appreciate
not
the
gonna care.
opportunity
They're gonna go to
line this
somebody,
thing up.
their second choice or their third choice, and they're gonna, inquire there. The person who waits 3 weeks isn't going to care what their metric is.
But they will be
Well,
so far at the bottom that everybody else will have an opportunity to shine,
Yeah.
and I appreciate
Right.
that opportunity.
Yeah, but now I have to compete with you.
but I thought,
But
I think,
You're
let me
already
get,
competing.
It's
hold on.
getting too,
I just quickly, I'd like to say the site is already a competitive site. You
Right.
all
Right.
sort of, in a way, want to have better pictures than the next person, or you're checking.
Absolutely, I completely agree with you,
So
but now
this
this
is
is
another
another
way
thing
that
that I have to compete with.
Somebody like yourself can shine in this situation because you're already doing everything right.
Now I have to go through extra steps, and I feel that I have to be married to my email in order to stop the clock, so that my
Wrong.
reading
All
isn't
you have to
as
do
bad
is
as
hit
I
hold on,
reply.
please, Beta, hold on. I hear, Lou, I hear you. I believe you sent an email to Joan about this earlier,
Yes.
and say that I'm happy to have a conversation with you if you want to. I don't want to tie up the rest of the folks here.
Fair enough.
Happy to take this offline and continue it. And I hear your concerns, and I mean that's partially why we hold some of these meetings too, is to get feedback and make sure that we
Okay,
can
fair
implement
enough.
it in the right way.
May I say something that might be pertinent? Would it be okay?
Sure, Doug.
Okay, Lou, I understand your concern. I don't know where you were with your rentals prior to being on We Need a Vacation. Prior to being on vacation, I was with VRBO, okay? Vacation Rentals by Owner. And when I first joined that, I paid the highest price to be up in the front on the rentals. In other words, I was also featured on a weekly basis, but I was paying like 3 times the amount of money to be there. So I paid for that. Now, where we are right now with We Need a Vacation is We Need a Vacation, the search is done on the basis of price and on the basis of occupancy, how many people can stay there. So when somebody searches here, they're looking for that particular situation. I don't think that whether when they actually come to your site and they see that you have a great record of responding quickly, that's an increase in the insurance of your integrity, right? But there's no way that I really feel that We Need a Vacation is canceling anything of us.
I didn't say that anybody was canceling anything.
If you want to pay more money, then call We Need a Vacation on the phone, pay them more money, and ask them to push you up front. That's how it works.
Good luck with that.
No, I think we've had a good heated discussion on this. I do appreciate everyone's insight and their feedback, and we will continue to work on this to ensure that it works for everybody's sake. We'll explain why we're making these moves and try to make some adjustments to make it as easy as possible and meet everybody's needs here. So for the sake of time, I do need to move on. I want to get to, there are 2 more hands here that I want to get to before we drop off. If people do have to drop off early, feel free. So Ellen, I see you here. Ellen, are you able to unmute yourself?
No, because I was
There we go.
punching on the wrong one. This system of rating people by how quickly they respond, it is one that makes me extremely uncomfortable. I'm right with Lou in saying it's a punishing experience. There are many times, I know I have a prime property, so I've never had any experience with not being able to rent the property. So that's not something that's an issue for me. But having that, I think it's fine to have it there for the homeowner to see as a nudge, but to put it out where the vacationers can see feels very uncomfortable to me. And it feels like a punishment, as Lou said. And one of the things I've learned from my years of working with children and working in psychological issues is that punishment has unintended side effects. And you don't know what you're going to have happen to your people you're working with when you all of a sudden turn away from what was a really benign system. I loved working with We Need a Vacation. It did just what I needed. And now I said, yeah, I'm not sure I want to go here anymore. And so I'm with Lou.
Ellen, I think you're fearing that it's going to be so granular that, okay, this person responds in 2 hours and this person responds in 6 hours. It's not going to be like that. If you respond in a day, you're going to have, and if you respond to every inquiry in some manner or fashion, you are not going to have anything to worry about. You will not.
I never had anything to worry about before. Now you're adding me something for me to worry about.
But we're telling you not to worry about it. If you respond within a day and you respond.
If you respond within a day, sometimes I can't.
Well, and you said you don't have any trouble. Can I just interrupt and say that there's a lot of people in the chat room who really want to move on from this issue.
Sure.
And we can create another Zoom meeting, which it sounds like we need to do for this topic.
Yeah.
Sure. Sounds like a good idea. Let me grab one more hand here, Greg, if you can ask your question quick.
Yes.
Hi, Greg.
If it's not related to.
In some, I've been listening to all this along with everybody else, and I understand the dynamics. Things are becoming more cumbersome in how we market our properties. But we all have to look at this thing globally as how to protect the brand. And I think We Need a Vacation is an outstanding example of how to serve the renter and the owner. There may be some additional responsibilities on our part to respond and to do it well and do it quickly. I mean, I respond immediately to everybody. I get a text message, I go for it. Why? The fish is got the hook in its mouth. If you deal with people quickly, you get rentals. Granted, there are people that take us down because they don't respond or don't care, or they're already full, or whatever reason. But we all collectively have to respect that we have to protect the brand. If we protect the brand, we all do well. And that's all I got to say.
Well, how does that change the people who don't respond? That's what I would like to see someone explain.
You can't take an axe and get rid of them. They're there.
Okay, so if they pay their money and they don't want to respond, that's their privilege.
Lou,
it hurts us all, but
Lou,
you can't do anything about it.
Yeah, Jim has already offered to talk to you about this, and we can meet again about it. But I think we've got to move on to other subjects too. And you know, it is getting late as well.
Let me last hand here, Marilyn.
Hi, can you hear me?
Yes, Ken.
I would just like to say, We Need a Vacation. You guys are fabulous. Thank you for everything you do. I've been renting for over 20 years, and what I can tell people is that it is an ever-evolving marketplace. You have to be nimble. You have to be ready, willing, and able to adapt to the changing marketplace. And I think you guys do a fabulous job of keeping us well informed. Your prices are reasonable. You do not interfere with our relationship with our guests. And to those who are having difficulties with We Need a Vacation, go elsewhere. And you'll find you won't be very happy.
Really?
Yeah.
Marilyn, thank you for the comments. I know this is a heated discussion, and clearly it's not one we're taking lightly in a change like this. So again, just to reiterate, Lou, I will get in touch with you. Everybody else, I appreciate everybody coming tonight. we'll keep doing these meetings because I do think it's pretty clear. We get good, valuable feedback, and hopefully you can come away with something that you learn on your end as well. So we'll set up a meeting likely for next week. Send out an email. If you registered today, anybody that registered today, whether you're on the call or not today, you'll automatically get invites for this. And so for any of the future meetings this year. So Joan, anything else? Beta, anything else?
No,
There's always lots more, but we're running out of time. So.
just,
Yes.
I'm hungry.
Yeah. All right. Well,
Thank
first for many, thank you everybody for coming.
Thank you.
Catch you next time.
This is a republic of freedom. I love this place. It's so great. I love Lou and everybody else that spoke. I think we're really expressing ourselves and we're giving us the opportunity through this website to do so. Thank you, Jim and Joan, so much.
Thanks.
And Marion, I appreciate your comment.
Have a great night, everybody.
Don't leave us. Stick around. We'll work with us.
Yeah, we're